The hair is definitely doing something today, that is for sure. This is update 4 of Pan That palette, and just a reminder, I am panning the Clionadh Cosmetics and Emily Violet Marie Dragon Fruit palette, and it's a little bittersweet this month. So before we get into some sad news and some good news, the great thing about Pan That palette day is it's also Headband reveal day. So last month was this one here with its lightning bolts and its raindrops, and it was supposed to signify April showers. Well, I hear for some of you, that was true. You got a lot of rain. For us, unfortunately, we got a lot of snow. So hopefully this headband is a little bit more true to nature for me, but this is now April showers bring you May flowers. So there's some flowers in there. There's some rainbows. There's a watermelon. The ones that don't make sense to me is there's a couple of seashells, but you know what? It's cute. So we're gonna go with it. So before I get into the happy and sad news, let's remind you of what the palette looked like last month. I also have a picture of what it looks like in January to remind you what we started with. To kind of go over things previously, we did hit pan in Bubbles, which is the top highlighter shade. We also hit pan in Sweetened, which is the dead center red shade. And then we've also hit pan in Catace and Dragonfly, which are the two green shades. Last month I did reach for this palette a total of 15 times, which is a heck lot less than what I reached for in March, but that's okay, it's going to fluctuate. I think 15 uses is still pretty good, however that is less than half the month, and I think a new goal of mine is going to be reaching for it at least half the month. In terms of weight, this palette back in January weighed 228.4 grams. Last month it weighed 225.1 grams, and this month it weighs 224.5, which means this month we were able to use up 0.6 grams, and in total so far we have used up 3.9 grams. And now for the big reveal. This is what the palette kind of looks like now. Not kind of looks like now. This is what the palette looks like now. So I'll give you a little close-up here, and then we'll kind of go over things. So the top picture here is the total monthly uses, and the bottom here are the total uses. So just to go over it quickly, I did reach for Bubbles 11 times last month for a total of 69 uses. Refresh, which is the pink shade beside it, I reached for twice for a total of 15 uses so far. Strawberry Pear unfortunately got neglected, so it's still at its total of 7 uses. Dragontini I reached for twice for a total of 14 uses. Infusion I reached for 3 times. We're now on the second row here, sorry. Infusion I reached for 3 times for a total of 12 uses. Hylocereus we reached for 4 times for a total of 11 uses. Sweetened, which is that dead center shade, I reached for 0 times, so another neglected shade, so we're still at 14 uses. Exotic we reached for 4 times for a total of 19 uses. Prickly, which is the purple one on the end, we reached for 4 times for a total of 15 uses. Onto the bottom row with the lighter green, we reached for it 0 times. This is Catace, and so we still have a total of 36 uses. And the darker green shade is Dragonfly. That one, unfortunately, I also didn't reach for, so 0 uses last month for a total of 23 uses. Fruit Fizz, which is the one that's kind of looking a little bit orangey, we reached for twice for a total of 15 uses. And Effervescent, which is the big gold shade on the bottom, we reached for 12 times for a total of 51 uses. Sorry, I just had to rescue my puppy from a scary piece of plastic that blew into our yard. Where were we? We're going to talk about the changes that I see that might not translate onto picture. So to start, is the first kind of like sad news I kind of have with this palette. It's actually the only sad news I have with this palette, and it's the shade Bubbles. So back in March, I previously hit pan on it at 39 uses. And unfortunately, when I was putting the lid back on the palette a little bit ago, I don't know if my hand just like jerked or if I wasn't paying attention, but my nail went right into Bubbles, scooped a bunch up. So I went, grabbed a little cotton round, and I just like quickly pressed it back in, like, please don't like lose half of my shadow. And when I took the cotton round up, of course it all fell into the pan that I had, and I no longer have pan in Bubbles. But the good news is that we've hit pan in Bubbles before, which means we can hit pan in Bubbles again. It's just a little bit of a minor setback. Onto the rest of the shades. So top row with Refresh. It just has like a little tiny bit of a concave to it. Like there's not really much going on there. With Strawberry Pear, it's even less. Like there's not even a concaveness from getting the emblem off of it. It's more just flat and the emblem is gone. Dragontini is definitely starting to get a little bit of a dip, but you have to hold the pan you have to hold the palette this way and look at it in order to kind of see the dip forming. Same with Infusion, now kind of on that second row there. The exciting news of this update is that second shade there, Hylocereus. It was one of the shades I was focusing on last month, and I'm happy to say, very last use. I hit pan in this one. So how long did that take? 11 uses with this one. So it was super exciting. I was using it, not hitting pan, and I'm like, you know what, that's okay. I can live with not hitting pan. And I pulled my brush away and there it was. So I will be honest, I did go in for a second dip just to make the pan a little bit bigger because it was so microscopic. I was kind of scared it wasn't going to show up on camera. So I guess it's technically my second last use because I did go in for a second one there just to make sure you could see it. But that's exciting. I guess we lost a pan and we gained a pan. Onto Sweetened, as you can see, there's already a pan in that one. We hit that back in March, I do believe. Exotic, I'll be honest, when I hit pan in Hylocereus, I was super excited and I thought we were going to hit pan in Exotic as well. But I should learn when I think I'm going to hit pan in something, I never do. So I gotta stop thinking that's going to happen because it's almost like I'm like setting myself up for disappointment. So not bad, not bad. It's got quite a huge dip on there, and I think if we focus on it a little bit more, we might actually be able to hit pan in Exotic. Prickly, even after focusing on it for a couple of looks last month, still doesn't look much different. It does have a bit of a concaveness to it, but nothing really major or huge. Catace, we hit pan on back in April. Same with Dragonfly, we hit that pan back in April. Fruit Fizz, which is that one that looks a little bit orange in picture, you can definitely start seeing the concave of it starting to show, so that's exciting. And Effervescent, I've been focusing on the top left-hand corner of it, and you can start kind of seeing the dip in it now, which is super exciting. So I took pictures of every single look I did this month, and I made my partner pick out the best of the focus shades that I was working with. So he picked a look for Prickly, a look for Hylocereus, and a look for Exotic. So we're going to start with the look I did with Prickly first. So I went in, everything I use is Clionadh Cosmetics because that's basically my whole entire collection right now. So if I don't say a brand, assume it's Clionadh. But I went in with the shade Gothic on the outer V, which is an outside shade. It's not part of my palette. I buffed that out with the shade Prickly, which was the focus shade, and then on the rest of the lid I went in with a shade called Royalty. On the lower lash line I used Prickly on the outer portion of my lashes and then Infusion on the inner portion of my lashes. And for the inner corner of this look, it was a mix of Effervescent and Bubbles. So I managed to use 4 of my palette shades in this look. Next look was one that I did for Hylocereus. With this one I have the shade Kiln on the outer V. I buffed that out with Hylocereus, and then on the rest of the lid it was a mix of the shades Ochre and Chalice. On the lower lash line I mixed the shades Refresh and Effervescent, and then on the inner corner I used Bubbles. So again, we were able to use 4 of my palette shades in this look. And the last look I did was for the shade Exotic, and with this one I went in with Kiln on the outer V. I buffed it out with Exotic. Half of what was left of my lid space I went in with a shade called Burnish, and then on the inner portion of what was left I went in with a shade called Ochre. Both of those I ended up trying to buff together with the shade Effervescent, and then on the lower lash line it goes from Exotic to Ochre on the inside. And for the inner corner I also used Bubbles. So for this look I was able to use 3 of the shades from my Pan That palette. As for goals for May, I have 2 shades I'm wanting to focus on, and quite honestly I didn't realize just how, I don't want to say similar because they're not similar, but they're more similar than I thought they were when I was initially looking at them in the pan. So the first one is the top right hand shade. It is called Dragontini, and then on the bottom beside Effervescent it's the more orange looking one. I'm going to focus on Fruit Fizz as well. So I do have Fruit Fizz on my eyes today. It's kind of like all over the lid, more on the inner portion because the outer portion I have a darker shade to deepen it. So that is kind of what Fruit Fizz looks like. But to give you a better look here, the bottom shade is Fruit Fizz, which I swear looks orange. And then Dragontini to me kind of looks a little bit like mauve-ish. But we're going to swatch them here. So this one is Dragontini and this one is Fruit Fizz. That was a horrible swatch. Sorry about that. So Fruit Fizz, they say, is a salmon shadow with golden lime shift. It is a duochrome. But I swear it looks orange. But then when I mix it with oranges, it is definitely not orange. Dragontini is a mid-tone pink with a gold to lime to turquoise shift, and this one is a vibrant multichrome. I did have a little bit of a struggle this month when I went in trying to find some extra shades for them, but this is what I found. So I have some to deepen it up. I have some glitter toppers, which are these ones here, and then just some extra ones to play with. I did struggle kind of finding some extra shades this month just because some shades worked with the base color but not the shifts, and then others worked with the shifts and not the base color. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but I think we got enough to get us through the month. So that is my update for today. You know, a little bit of sad news. We lost the pan in Bubbles, but we did gain a pan in Hylocereus. And also, how can you be sad with a flower rainbow watermelon seashell headband? So thank you for checking in with me today. I hope to have some great updates to share with you within the next month. And yeah, until then, I hope the day treats you well. Bye.